Hi guys, welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Kyra, and today's video is a gentle declutter. I've been going through each category of my makeup and just being thoughtful about the products that are within each category. Will I use them? Do I use them? All the questions. Are there duplicate shades? Are there things that I can let go of or pass on to others? So today is obviously highlighter, and there's quite a bit here. I always think that this is one of my smaller categories in my makeup, and I still believe that to be true in terms of numbers and cheek products. But there's a lot here, and we're going to wade through some of this today. If you do hear some fan noises in the background, we are in the hundreds here in northern Colorado this week, and unfortunately I just can't take one for the team in that way. So hopefully it won't be too distracting if you can hear the fan. And I'm going to try without the ring light. I think that might be the better way to swatch these products, but that may change, or I might decide differently. And with all of that said, let's get into it. We're going to start with my cream and liquid highlighters. All right, so I have I have two creams here, and then these are all liquids. This is a cushion, so it kind of falls somewhere in the in between, but let's go ahead and talk about these. The first one is my e.l.f. Halo Glow liquid filter in the shade Fair. I wish I used this more, if I'm being honest. It doesn't do the things for me in my oily skin, I feel like, as it does for others. It's really beautiful, and I especially love it as a liquid highlighter, which is why I keep it in this category. I do think I could mix it with some more matte foundations, but I don't wear a ton of matte foundations. It doesn't really work for primer for me. It's just a little bit too hydrating, and it does tend to lead to my makeup breaking up throughout the day. But if you have any tricks or thoughts on uses for this for someone with oily skin, I have tried it as a base and then set it with like a powder foundation. This is my favorite liquid highlight I've ever owned. This is the Rare Beauty Liquid Luminizer. I believe it's the, what is it, Positive Light Liquid Luminizer. This is the shade Mesmerize, which is like a rose bronze, I think is how they describe it. And I absolutely love this one. It is pretty unique within my collection in terms of the shade. It really blends out beautifully with the fingers and looks quite natural on the skin, which can definitely not be the case with some liquid highlighters. This is the M Cosmetics Moonbeam highlighter in the shade Aura. Again, this is a cushion highlighter. It took me quite some time to really connect with this product, if I'm being honest, but I think I had it in Project 10 Uses earlier this year. I really enjoyed it once I had it in with some consistency and really played with it. So I do like that one. I should probably start working on using it up. However, it is a little bit older in my collection. And then I have one from Milani. This was just in my deck of panning. This thing is a hot mess. I need to clean it yet again. But this is kind of what they call a blush lighter. Milani Cheek Kiss Liquid Blush Highlight in the shade Luminoso. It's really pretty, and during the summer it is definitely more like a highlight for me, more of a blush topper the rest of the year, but it does have that really pretty peachy glow like Luminoso blush does. So I do enjoy it, I do use it, and I'm keeping it for meow. Here I have the e.l.f. Halo Glow Beauty Wand in the highlight. This is the shade Champagne Campaign, and I do enjoy this. It's a little, I don't know, I just don't love these types of applicators, especially if you go long periods of time without using them. I just feel like they're not very sanitary, and this is more of a bold highlight. As you can see, you're definitely going to see it from space unless you go in at you know, in a really sheer way. But at first I wasn't a huge fan of this, but then, you know, I used it more and with more consistency, kind of like it was on the chopping block. Turns out I do like it enough to keep it and play with it for longer. I have 3 cream highlighters. There's 1 cream highlight in my custom palette from Salt, New York. It is this one right here, so I'll go ahead and swatch that one first. This is the shade Beige, I believe. And it is just that. It's a very beige, almost my skin tone kind of highlight, which is one thing that I really enjoy about it. And I do currently have that in my year-long project for 10 uses on each of the shades in there. And one that I'm wondering is kind of a little similar is the Flower Beauty Day Glow Highlighting Glaze. I don't know why I don't use this more. This is in the shade Stunner. It is discontinued, I believe, unfortunately. This one is really nice. Actually, I don't know why I always think of this as being more blinding than it is, because this is really pretty. I need to get some use on that. And then lastly, this is my ColourPop Super Shock highlighter in the shade Lunch Money. It's this beautiful light gold champagne kind of shade. And, you know, as you can see, I have pan on it, which is pretty rare for highlighters in my collection, but it's a nice light shade. Let me turn the ring light on and see if that's actually going to be better. Yeah, that might be. So here are all of my liquid and cream highlighters. Not parting with any today, but I'm okay with that. I don't even really feel like there's any that are too similar. All right, here are all of my single highlighters. I think maybe I'm gonna try and separate these a little bit into color categories, and then maybe we can go from there. All right, so these are where things kind of lie in my mind palace of makeup, I would say. We have, these are kind of unique or split pan. These are champagne. These 2 are golden. I'm gonna say peachy right here, pinky, and more pinky here. So let us start with the champagne and golden shades. This one I'm kind of not sure where it lies, so I might swatch it with this group. Let's start with the ones that I definitely feel are more champagne, starting with MAC Double Gleam. This is their Extra Dimension skin finish, and it is really beautiful. It's quite icy for my skin tone. In fact, I have this in project 10 uses right now. It's been a little bit difficult to use just because it is a little light for my skin, especially during the summer. So this is Makeup Revolution Just My Type. This is their highlighter reloaded, real favorite of mine this year. This is the Clinique Powder Pop Flower Highlighter in Lunar Pop, and I really enjoy the formula. I don't think it's quite close enough to Double Gleam. This is the one I always picture as being kind of close to Double Gleam. It's the Juvia's Place, the Tribe Highlighter Volume 3, which is this shade right here. This has always been a favorite of mine. It's quite a thick formula though, as you can see on the finger here, and it is quite icy for me. I do, however, really enjoy it as an eyeshadow as well, and I would say this one is even icier than Double Gleam, as you can see here. So I do think this is going to depart my highlighter collection. I think I will put it in my eyeshadow like single drawer for now and see if I use it that way, and then if I don't, you know, I will pass it on to someone else. But it's such a beautiful highlighter, it just isn't really right for my skin. Moving on to the more golden, we have Essence Pure Nude Highlighter in number 10, Be My Highlight. This is definitely one of my tippy top favorite highlighters. This is my original one. It still performs just as beautifully as it ever did. And I don't really think it's too close to anything. It's sort of close to Just My Type from Makeup Revolution, but beautiful nonetheless. This is in my 2024 project, so It is a little bit of a spoiler for that, but this is Becca Opal. And it is a really beautiful golden sort of highlight. For me, is definitely more of a summertime shade. It's a little darker on my skin tone, so I'm hoping to get this used up yet this summer. This is a Franken highlight, so it's 2 shades from my old Hourglass palette. It is Champagne Strobe Light and the Soft Light Ambient Powder. It is popping out of its pan, however, I just noticed, so I'm not thrilled about that. What I did with this is the highlighter was so strobing and not really my jam, so I mixed it with the ambient lighting powder, and as you can see, it's a really pretty soft sort of champagne highlight. I'm not going to leave it open though, I don't want to make a mess here. And I have received this one in PR last year or beginning of this year, I can't quite remember. I think it was last year. And this is the ABH Glow Seeker highlighter in the shade Sun Idol. Beautiful golden highlight that I definitely want to make more use of this summer, but it is like stunning. It's just smooth, and it's that beautiful baked gelée kind of formula, and I don't really feel like it duplicates any of my other highlighters. But before I say that, let's look at this one from Rare Beauty. This is their Positive Light Silky Touch highlighter, their powder highlighter in the shade Exhilarate. Oh boy, so pretty. I kind of suspected that these two would be similar, but I will say Rare Beauty is just ever so slightly less yellow golden and maybe more toward the champagne side of golden. So no real overlap there. And then lastly, again, I'm not for sure exactly where this will fall color-wise or shade-wise, but this is the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Superstar Glow Highlighter for face and body. I don't know if this was, you know, limited edition in air quotes, but last I checked, it was still linkable on her site. And this one is one of those that's kind of like pinky, peachy, champagne, not really pinky, but peachy, champagne, gold, somewhere in there. So it's really kind of unique. If I had to compare it to something, it would probably be most comparable to my Essence. But the Essence is just a little bit softer. Yeah. These are all staying with the Juvia's Place one, going to my eyeshadow collection. But I am going to leave the Charlotte Tilbury one out just to swatch it against the next category. All right, so my next category of highlighters are peachy. And I'm also going to throw in the Duochrome highlighter and this split pan highlighter. One more peachy highlighter in this one. I was gonna do highlighting palettes separately, but I do want to compare this particular peachy highlight against some of my other ones here. I recently copped this back from my daughter, noticed that she hadn't been using it as much lately, so it's back to being mine. So just for good measure, I'm gonna go ahead and re-swatch the Charlotte Tilbury. We'll see how this compares to the rest of my peachy highlighters. This one I believe is probably the iciest of my peach highlighters. This is MAC Soft and Gentle. It is their mineralized skin finish. I have had this one for a long time, but I do like it. It is very icy as a peachy highlighter goes, and it is perfect for my skin in the cooler months. Then this one is my Laura Geller Baked Gelato Swirl Illuminator in the shade Peach Glow. One of my all-time favorite highlighters, and not just peachy highlighters. I did hit pan on this one this year. Look how beautiful that is. An old classic is Wet n Wild Mega Glow in Precious Petals. I currently have this in a project for, I think it's in Project 10 Uses. And this is like a peachy gold. Very, very pretty. Definitely more of a summer shade for me. These were recluttered. This one and the pink one were recluttered back to me from my daughter. I always think of this one as peachy, so I guess we're going to find out, but this is the Nabla Skin Glazing Glass Skin Finish in the shade Privilege. And I kind of always think of this as like peachy, pinky, goldy, champagne, all the things had a baby, which is kind of like my perfect highlight shade. And I just love it. And this particular one, when it shears out on the skin, it just literally looks like glass skin. One of my favorites, as you can tell from the pan, I think. Let's compare the Dior one next. This is their Glow Kit in Glitz 002, and the peach shade is the one I would like to compare. You can see my daughter all but wore all of the Dior's embossing on this off, so she definitely has gotten good use of it for me. Ooh, that's really pretty. That's more of like, it has like a touch of yellow or gold to it. Very pretty. And it's funny, the more I swatch these, the less soft and gentle and peach glow look peachy. Interesting. Let's go ahead and swatch this one. This is from Becca, and it was a gift from my daughter. It is their Shimmering Skin Perfector pressed in Lilac Geode, and I do feel like it has a peachiness to it, but it also has a lilac tone as well. But you can see it definitely has some purple to it, but it definitely has peach to it as well. Very unique. This Palladio highlighter I got in PR when I worked with them in Sally Beauty in 2023. This is their Sun-Kissed highlighter, and it's in the shade Eternal Sunshine. So first I'm gonna just swatch the peach highlighter in here. Very brightening. Very similar, I feel like, almost, yeah, very similar to the Peach Glow, but I will say I like the Peach Glow formula better. I'm gonna keep this one out and just set it to the side for now. I don't feel like I have much in the way of overlap here. I think this is the Wet n Wild, is a little bit similar to this one maybe. Here. Sometimes swatching them over the wrinkles of my hand helps me see better where there's similarities. There's definitely similarities there. Let me think on that. I'm gonna put that one aside as a possible declutter, because if it comes down to the Wet n Wild and the Charlotte Tilbury, I'm obviously going to want to get my money out of the Charlotte Tilbury product. It's also a little less shimmery than the Wet n Wild, which means it's gonna sit more nicely on my 42-plus-year-old skin, but the rest of these are staying. Next, I think we'll swatch my pink highlighters. Pink highlighters can be a little tricky for me because I have a very warm undertone, and so I do tend to lean more towards warmer pinks. So let's just look at these. This I purchased because I loved the Just My Type shade so much. This is the shade Dare to Divulge, and it is quite a bit more icy, I feel like, than Just My Type. But it's a similar shade, if I'm being honest. In fact, let me grab that one and we'll swatch them against each other. As you can see, this one's just like not quite as shimmery as this one, but oh yeah, there's definitely a difference in shade. The Dare to Divulge is definitely more pink, and Just My Type is definitely more champagne. Here is Wet n Wild Mega Glow in Blossom Glow. This is the pinky one my daughter used for a long time, and it is definitely more of an icy pink. This is one I'm definitely considering on the chopping block because, you know, these icier pinks are just harder for me to wear even during the colder months. This is Milani Baked Highlighter in Dulce Perla. Absolutely beautiful. This is more of a warm pink in my Makeup Mind Palace. Yeah, so you can see here, it's still light, but it's not icy. And that's what I like about it. So that is definitely a keeper. It's really beautiful on the skin. This is my newest highlighter to my entire collection, I believe, and it is the Sephora Colorful Luminizer in the shade Rose Quartz. Yes. and it's quite unique in my mind. I didn't get a ton of time to use it before the weather started getting warm. It looks a little bit close to the Blossom Glow from Wet n Wild, but not quite as icy. It's just a lighter tone, so I do like that. Let's swatch the pink shade from Palladio here. I don't know, this one has just a really funky texture to it, in my opinion. Just not super high quality, but part of me wants to keep it just for that beigey shade, but I don't know that I necessarily need to. That pink is definitely too icy and too cool tone for me, so that's strike 2 against this one. And lastly, this is the same shade as the liquid luminizer that I have from Rare Beauty, but this is their powder one, and that is in the shade Mesmerize. Love this. This is one of my all-time favorite highlighters, and it's a lot more shiny, shimmery, and present than the liquid version, so I feel good about that. I think I'm definitely decluttering this one because it's just too icy for my skin, and I certainly don't need to keep it for eyeshadow. And this one has 2 strikes against it. Like I said, I do like this shade, but I don't know that I need it, and I just don't. I mean, can you see how it's kind of not the best shade? I'm gonna let this go. I'm definitely gonna let this go. So that's 2 that are for sure leaving. Okay, which leaves me with 4 pinky highlighters that I'm very happy with. I have a few palettes that are highlighter only, and so they reside in my highlighter drawer. I also have some highlighters that reside in other palettes with other types of products. So let's do the 2 Dior palettes first. Again, this is the Glitz colorway. These 2 at top are more glittery, and so for me they are like eyeshadows. And I did discover this weekend that this brown shade and that brown shade are not the same, which I'll show you in a moment. But let's go ahead and swatch these. This first one's kind of one of those like white yellow golds. Like I said, I really don't use these for highlighters, mostly just as eyeshadows or inner corner or whatever. So those are really beautiful. I do really enjoy the peachy highlight in here. The brown shade is actually quite a bit more coppery, which is what I experienced the other day. I went in with this one thinking it was the same as this one, and then I was like, no, that's definitely not the same. So this is the Universal colorway, and this is my favorite for sure. And I love this bronze in here for my eyes. As you can see here, they are very different, in case you were ever curious about that. And this is the shade that I love to wear on my eyes. Absolutely adore it. This one's a little cool tone for me, but I like mixing it with the other shades, and I just love both of these. There are 2 pieces of makeup that I feel like I've gotten so much use and good out of the money that I spent on them. This one is, I believe, discontinued, but you can still find it around on Amazon and different places. It's the L'Oreal True Match Lumi Glow Nude palette, and this is in the Moon Kissed colorway. And this was in Emily Noel Made Me Buy It 100%. I absolutely love this palette. It swatches like absolute garbage, but on the skin it is really beautiful and quite special. This is one of my favorite shades right here. It's kind of a beigey highlight, but it has a slight cool tone like blue shift to it. I don't know if that's gonna show up on camera for us or not, but and then this one is more like your goldy champagne color. These feel dry to the touch, and they, like I said, they swatch like crap, but you'll just have to trust Emily and I. It really is something special on the skin. This is beautiful as a light bronzer or as an eyeshadow, bronzer topper. You could use it, you know, quite a few different ways. And this is definitely more of a subdued highlighter formula, but man, I love it. Let me see again. So the shades are Moon, Venus, Jupiter, and Twilight. Very pretty. Here is another one that is discontinued. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Bar of Gold highlight palette. You will occasionally still find this floating around places like Amazon, what have you. I will say I don't think it's anything that you need to necessarily seek out. I think there's a reason it's discontinued. It is pretty, but it's not, you know, anything super exciting or worth, you know, spending more money than it originally cost or anything like that. I do enjoy it. I enjoy mixing the shades more than I enjoy using them on their own. This is the Kevyn Aucoin, the Neo highlighter in the shade Sahara, which is called the Golden Rose Glow. I really enjoy this product. One, it is quite a subdued or subtle highlighter formula, so it's really beautiful, but you also get kind of 3 different shades in here. You get more champagne, more rose, more bronze, and so you can certainly use them separately. Like, I'm going to swatch them now. You can see that those are different enough. So there's the champagne, there's the rose tone, and there is the bronze tone right there. And then of course you can swatch it in its entirety and get all of those tones mixed together. I do love this highlighter. It is quite old, so I do need to get on using it more, but I do really enjoy this highlighter. So no surprise here, all of these are staying, and next are the highlighters that I have in multi-use palettes. This is my Charlotte Tilbury Film Star Bronze and Glow. I've had this 4 years, and I am currently in my deck of panning. Well, I don't want to spoil my update for Friday, but you'll see this in that video. And I really do enjoy this highlighter. It's very smooth, very soft, and you know, subtle. It's just a really pretty highlighter, and I really enjoy it. And the highlighter is definitely in my plan to pan for the year. This was a gift from my daughter. She did purchase this in the Ipsy pop-up store, I think. It's the Natasha Denona Cupid Cheek Duo. There is a cream blush and a powder highlight. It's definitely there. It's a really beautiful highlight, actually. I think it almost leans a little rose gold, which I really love. This is one that I forgot when I swatched my cream highlighters, but there is a cream and a powder in here. So this is the My Dream Cheek Trio from her My Dream collection. I love this blush in here, as you might be able to tell. And then you have the cream, or the Glow Cream base, and the Dream Glow highlighters. So this one is a cream, and this one is a powder. There is the cream, and I feel like it might even be a little similar to the Flower Beauty one in Stunner. I do really enjoy both of those, and you can apply the powder over the cream if you want a really intense highlighter, but you can probably tell that's not what I'm looking for. I do really enjoy this little trio. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Instant Look in a palette, Gorgeous Glowing Beauty, and I did have this in my year-long project with a goal to use each shade 10 times, which I did recently complete. This does remind me a little bit of the one from Bronze and Glow, in my opinion. Like, these two are very similar, I would say, but it is a shade of highlight that I do really enjoy, and I just love this palette as a whole, like everything in it. Then I have this Cali Ray. It's not called Get the Look, it's called I don't know, I'll put it on the screen, but there is one highlight in here, or at least a shade I consider to be a highlight, and it's called Ring Light, and it's a really pretty color or shade. It's got almost like a peachy champagne color to it, and I just really enjoy that. a lot, and it does cause me to reach for this palette for that. Also has 2 blush in here, and they're both absolutely beautiful. I really do enjoy this little palette. I don't feel like it got much hype or love when it came out, but then we have Charlotte Tilbury Nudegasm palette. Love this palette, and this shade right here is a really pretty highlighter. It looks a little more yellow gold than what I tend to go for, but I'm always happy with it when I use it, so I do really enjoy that highlighter. Then we have the Smashbox Cali Contour palette, and there are 2 highlights in here, a more champagne and then a more golden shade, golden bronze shade. And I like to wear these separately, but I also like to mix them together or mix them with other products in the same palette. The bronzy one definitely works as a pretty eyeshadow, but I also like mixing it in with the bronzer or the blush. And then, like I said, I mix those 2 together. I really love this palette. It's probably one of the best travel palettes in my opinion. This is the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Edit Unlocked. This is the Elephant palette, and the highlight in here, Beaming Strobe Light, that's what it's called, and it is this one right here, which is definitely a summer shade for me. Here, I'll put it right here. It's very golden, very strobing, and you know, a little dark for me, but I do tend to mix it with these powders, and then that helps me to be able to use it. And lastly, this is the NARS Orgasm on the Beach palette, and there are 2 in here. So this is Turtle Bay and this is Naples. I really love this palette, and I love these 2 highlights in here from NARS. I'm gonna swatch them on the back of my hand. Turtle Bay is definitely a more everyday kind of shade for me. Mandalay is a little bronze, but they work well, you know, mixed together, and I just really enjoy this palette. I also sometimes will mix these 2 as kind of a bronzer shade, so if you can't tell, I really love like mixing and matching within palettes. All right, so let's talk about these last 5. These 2 are for sure going, the Palladio and the Wet n Wild Blossom Glow. This one, if I'm being real, do I need this for an eyeshadow? And the answer is no. Don't need to keep this for an eyeshadow. It is so close to Double Gleam that if I did want that kind of a shadow, I could use Double Gleam, but I also guarantee that I have eyeshadows aplenty in this color, so I'm actually going to push myself a little and get rid of that one. So I am gonna go ahead and declutter this, but it'll kind of, you know, time will tell. It'll sit around in my declutters and we'll see if I really miss it. I don't think I will. And this one I'm definitely keeping because my daughter gave it to me, but I'm thinking, I don't know, I just don't know that I will use it as a highlighter. I think I'm gonna keep it with my highlights for now, at least through the end of the summer, and go from there. And so that leaves us with 4 highlighters that I'm getting rid of. It is definitely a gentle declutter, not too shabby. I am not complaining about that at all. Again, this is like a gentle declutter, so I feel like 4 is pretty gentle. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me and watching me declutter my highlighters. Many more declutters to come before the end of the year. I'm hoping to get through every category. I hope you guys are having a great day so far, and I hope all of your makeup days are absolutely beautiful makeup days. And I will see you in my next video very, very soon. Bye.